Well, things are moving fast now, aren't they?
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Badadan, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, Yannick After Dark. Lots of content at the moment because, of course, Chelsea are about to have a new manager, an Italian bald man, which we have had pleasant memories before at Chelsea. Maresca, David Ornstein coming out with a big piece of news, really, that's contradicting what Fabrizio Romano saying, and those two are like the big shots, Romano and Ornstein. Personally, I think Ornstein's the most reliable. That's just my opinion, of course. And he's saying Maresca's going to get a long contract. So we're going to talk about that. An article from the, Mail Online as well. And plenty of stuff. Guys, it's popping off at the moment. So if you want to be kept up to date, I'm doing my best to bring you all the data, the insight, the intel, the news, and of course my commentary and my opinion. Subscribe! Only if you want to. If you choose to, hit the bell, because I'm going to bring you the updates and news as quick as I can, and if you hit the bell notifications icon, you will be notified when I upload, and you want to keep up to date with what's going on at the moment. In the meantime, I will thank you for liking the video and supporting your local content creator. Alright friends, let's start with a quick notification on Tosin, of course the Fulham centre-back who didn't extend with our Fulham rivals, and he's a free agent and many clubs are after him as a centre-back. Chelsea have offered him a contract. He's a free agent, so he'll get a signing on fee and a good wage, not a great wage at Chelsea. I'm sure loads of clubs are in for him. Very interesting indeed. If he signs, we'll have a look at him statistically and have a little bit of a deep dive there. So keep it locked. It could be a really good signing. Of course, a free transfer. There will probably be a signing on fee, but nothing too huge. He's a Fulham player, or was a Fulham player. And that will be good for Chelsea, especially when we're trying to navigate PSR rules, FFP. We're signing players for free and good centre-backs. That can only be a good thing, guys. Also, speaking of me doing a bit more of a statistical, analytical deep dive on certain pieces of content, I will of course do the same on Enzo Maresca. I've seen interesting pieces of content about how he brings the goalkeeper up to create a back four after the fullback inverts into midfield, creating an overload, and therefore you're going to need a good passing goalkeeper. We'll look a little bit closer about how he plays football. It's very interesting, actually, and loads of people are getting more and more amped across all of football media of how he plays. It's funny how you start seeing the good and stuff as it comes closer. But yes, we'll see what happens there with Maresca. I will sort of aggregate some stuff, some information on how he plays, and then I will present it to you guys. We'll also make content on who we might want to select out of the current Chelsea squad, who's going to play well under him, who's going to be not play well under him. So yeah, keep it locked to this YouTube channel for such great content coming your way. Right, so we are going to start the Mail Online, excuse me. Sammy Mockbell writing, Chelsea are moving towards, of course, appointing Maresca as the Pochettino successor, and it could be concluded within the next 72 hours. Preliminary, nailed it, talks over the appointing the Italian accelerated over the weekend. We've spoken about that. Chelsea have sought formal permission to the Foxes to hold formal discussions, which is funny, isn't it? Because it's like, we've been talking to him for ages now, so can we have permission to formally talk to him now? It's just, I guess, by the book. So Leicester are due in the region of £10 million. Chelsea want to negotiate. I think this is, obviously I don't think they'll try and negotiate the release clause down, but I think it will be payment structure. And this has been something massive for these current Chelsea owners. They've been very blaggy, as we say here in the kingdom, in terms of structuring. Like, remember, we paid only £30 million up front for Enzo Fernandez, and he's a £105 million player. So, you know, yeah. Installments are the way to go. Once the formalities are completed, Chelsea are aiming to have the appointment wrapped up by the middle of this week. Mail Sport understands Maresca is very keen to bring 5 members of his staff, which of course includes his number 2, Willy Caballero, a former Chelsea goalkeeper. He's expected to be... Yeah, that is great. Caballero, we loved Caballero. He even was like Chelsea's first team keeper for way too long. We bought him as a number 2. But was it Kepa who was letting us down? Yeah, because Kepa must have been Kepa because he replaced Courtois. God, we've had Kepa for so long, haven't we? Jeez. Yes. So, Willy Caballero, top boy. So Maresca's in line for a significant pay rise, but his wage at Chelsea is likely to be less than Pochettino's reported £10.4 million salary. Well, you'd hope so. Look, of course, I feel like he's being undervalued, Maresca, by a lot of Chelsea fans in terms of, how good he is or how good he could be. But he's definitely not earned his stripes like Pochettino to earn a wage anything like Pochettino. But once all financial packages are agreed, Maresca's appointment is expected to run smoothly, with the 44-year-old fully open to taking over Stamford Bridge, and multiple sources indicating Maresca is the club's leading contender to replace Pochettino. He was described from another publication as the outstanding candidate among the others, and that includes Roberto De Zerbi. It's understood, of course, Kieran McKenna impressed during talks during the club, but Chelsea informed him that he was no longer in the running. So he impressed Chelsea. They like Kieran McKenna, easy for me to say, Ipswich town manager. Brighton have also shown a serious interest in appointing McKenna as De Zerbi's replacement, but the Amex club are also exploring other options. Interesting how the stock has dropped. It does sound like now that Kieran McKenna will extend with Ipswich Town, and he will manage them for a season, at least in the Premier League. This is interesting. Former boss Graham Potter is among those under consideration for Brighton. A sensational return. It kind of makes sense. I feel like Brighton fans would be happy to take him back, especially considering the situation they're in. And, Potter earned a lot of money from Chelsea, even if it wasn't a positive career move. But he can end up back where he started. And you got a big payoff from Chelsea. Of course, he turned down the Ajax job. And I reckon he was probably happy at Brighton and where he lived, and I wonder if his family still lives near there or whatever. Thomas Frank, of course, the Brentford coach, was under consideration. Frank has also held talks of Manchester United should Ten Hag be sacked. And of course, De Zerbi and Ruben Amorim were also spoken about, but not really properly in the running towards the end. But the club's desire to appoint a young 44 years old, young for a manager, progressive head coach that can grow with the team has seen Maresca, who has worked under Pep Guardiola. Has emerged as a key factor in Chelsea's decision to move with the highly rated Italian. Yeah, he is highly rated. He does seem appropriate for our squad. Clearly, if he's come across as the outstanding candidate, the sporting directors who apparently really like him, they think he can work with them. De Zerbi is combustible. We've spoken about that at length. And although I could see me being interested with De Zerbi as Chelsea manager, the more, a sobering reflection, I can understand the appointment of Enzo Maresca more and more. As you look, this is going to happen, isn't it? They've got their reasons for signing people or parting with people, and with time, you might not see it at first, us as fans or in the the football fan media or whatever, but you sort of learn over time. Anyway, David Ornstein's written this on The Athletic, which apparently is the New York Times. That was new to me. I just realised the URL was constantly being, rerouted to the New York Times, which is interesting, I guess. Maybe they were always owned by them and now it's just the URL. Not interesting, Jan. So let's read the article. Leicester City have granted Chelsea formal permission to speak with Enzo Maresca about becoming their next head coach. Chelsea made an official approach to Leicester earlier on Monday. Hey, that's today. After identifying the Italian as a leading candidate to succeed Poch at the Bridge. They are now set for discussions with the 44-year-old and are expected to agree a contract. Here it is. Here's your headline. Spanning a minimum of 5 years. So this is what we heard originally. I don't know if it was from Matt Law on The Telegraph or some other journalist, that he was going to be, not Maresca necessarily, but the new coach was going to be on a long contract. Then Fabrizio Romano came out on his YouTube channel, and I'm not going to, Romano's got good information, right? But he said in his YouTube channel, all his social media, he regurgitated that it will be a 2+1 deal. And of course, we reflected to that news here on the channel earlier today. A 2+1, but this is a 5 minimum, so it could be a 5+1. It could be just a longer contract than 5 years, but that is a long big boy contract. It shows that they do want to grow. They do want a long-term project, and they do want a coach to grow with Chelsea. Essentially, they want the Arteta thing, really, don't they? Leicester will receive compensation for the impending move, which is expected to be completed this week. Of course, Maresca joined Leicester ahead of the start of last campaign and guided them back to the Prem by winning the championship title, which is good. And this just reiterates how, of course, McKenna and Thomas Frank were also considered. Chelsea began their search for a new head coach, of course, after we mutually parted ways with big Mauricio Pochettino, who, after that team review... Yes, and as we, everyone was shocked at that decision, but as more time passed, I think many people will understand the decision. I'm actually quite looking forward to just the safer football, and not this just heart attack every game and hanging on against teams that we should be beating. The process of identifying Pochettino's replacement has been conducted, of course, by Stuart and Winstanley, the co-sporting directors, and has seen them land on the former Man City assistant Maresca as their preferred option. Of course, he worked under Guardiola, was part of the backroom staff of their treble-winning season. He's also worked alongside Pellegrini at West Ham United, before a short spell at Parma, of course, in Italy's second tier. It didn't go well at Parma. Must be said. He got sacked as well. If all goes to plan, Maresca will be the 6th manager since the Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital takeover of the club in 2022. I don't think it should be called the Boehly Clearlake takeover. They should just call it Blueco, because Clearlake owns so much, and I think Boehly just owns the same amount as like Hans-Jörg Wyss. I just feel like Boehly, I think it might be a good PR move for us to just move away from Todd Boehly, because he's been like a face target for ages for negative criticism. And it's just, I know he was sporting director in the first summer, but that was it. He's chairman, fine, but it's not his Chelsea. It needs to be either Clearlake, need to talk about Clearlake, or they need to call it Blueco, whatever. Thomas Tuchel, of course, was sacked. Graham Potter, and also we had Bruno Soltau, Lampard before Pochettino. And Poch ultimately did okay, I think, in the end. 5-year contract. I feel kind of good about that, especially if he's not on massive wages. I hope that there's a recurring theme here with a young and experienced coach, to a degree, in Maresca, that we do the same thing with him as we done with the players. So look, all right, sign for 5 years. If you qualify for the Champions League, you get a bonus. If you win a trophy, you get a bonus. If you win the Prem, you get a bonus. If you finish outside the top 8, we can sack you with very little compensation or something like that. I hope there's stuff like that in the contract. I think that would be helpful. Anyway, I wanted to bring that to you guys. We will, of course, talk about how he plays football, who he's going to play with in terms of who he's going to select with personnel, stuff like that. So keep it locked to this channel, Football Therapy. I'll thank you again for commenting and liking, and hope to see you back here very soon. Peace.